or you have to invest in the stock.
Correr riscos.
You have to have risks.
A mediunidade é um tesouro.
Mediumship is a treasure.
Se a gente esconde,
If we hide it,
se entorpece.
it will become useless.
Se a gente descuida,
If we don't look after it,
degenera.
it will degenerate.
Se a gente investe,
If we invest,
multiplica.
it will multiply.
I'd like to know how often mediums and the spirits that they have, they meet each other in previous incarnations, and if it is important issue to develop a good world.
Normalmente o guia espiritual,
Normally, the spiritual guide
o espírito benfeitor do médium,
or the spiritual benefactor of that
é
medium
velho amigo
is an old friend
de muitas encarnações.
from many incarnations.
Ele evoluiu
He progressed
enquanto o outro ficou atrasado.
while the other one stayed behind.
Como ama,
As he loved the
a
person,
felicidade dele depende do seu amigo.
his happiness depends on the happiness of his friend.
Ele então volta para ajudar quem ficou na retaguarda.
So therefore he comes back to help those who stay behind.
Tem paciência,
He has
é
patience,
perseverante,
he perseveres,
ajuda até materialmente,
and even helps on a material level,
para que o seu beneficiário não se justifique.
so that the person receiving the benefit is not justified,
Dizendo que não recebeu a ajuda conveniente.
saying he cannot complain of not having received the necessary help.
Portanto, todos esses benfeitores que não vivem conosco
Therefore, all these benefactors that are with us
são amigos de outras experiências,
are our friends from previous experiences
evoluíram mais
who went ahead
e estão vindo buscar-nos para seguir.
and come to fetch us so that we may also go ahead.
Also, as you know, Daniel-Dunglas-home was their famous medium. And in the book Shadows and Light of Spiritism, there is a chapter titled The Difference, in which he wrote that just after our Kardec had died, he received a message. And in this message, it was written that our Kardec had regretted of published the spirit instruction or codified the spirit instruction. How can we analyze this kind of communication? Because Daniel-Dunglas-home was very, as was well known at that time, very good medium, and he used to practice mediumship for goodness. How can you explain what do you suggest for us people trying to develop mediumship to avoid this kind of spreading message that may be wrong and interfere with others to understand mediumship?
Aliás, eu gostaria de conhecer a casa de Daniel-Dunglas-home em Escócia.
In fact, I would like to get to know Daniel-Home's house in Scotland.
Daniel nunca fez o bem.
Daniel never did goodness.
Foi o médium mais explorador da história da humanidade.
He was the most exploiting medium of humanity.
Depois dos 10 anos de idade, nunca trabalhou.
After he was 10 years old, he never worked anymore.
Sempre viveu sustentado pelos amigos.
He was always being kept by his friends.
Viajava muito,
He used to travel a lot.
ganhava muitos presentes caros.
He used to get lots of very expensive presents.
E disputava os amigos na nobreza.
And he used to have his friends amongst the noble people.
Foi o meio dos príncipes e imperadores.
He was a medium of princes and emperors.
Foi o meio da rainha Vitória.
He was a medium for Queen Victoria.
Foi o meio do rei de Baden-Baden.
He was a medium for the King of Baden-Baden,
De Napoleão III.
of Napoleon III,
E de outros, inclusive do Papa Pio VII.
and others including Pope Pius VII,
Que o converteu ao catolicismo.
who converted him to the
Que o
Catholicism
proibiu de dar campo à mediunidade.
and who prohibited him from using his mediumship.
Ele já estava tuberculoso,
At that time he already had TB
casado em segundas nupcias.
and already married for the second time,
Como lhe era conveniente,
and as it was convenient for
ele
him,
aceitou
he accepted
a imposição do Papa.
the imposition of the Pope.
Ele nunca aceitou a reencarnação.
He never accepted reincarnation.
Embora Allan Kardec tivesse falado muito bem da mediunidade dele,
Although Allan Kardec said very good things about his mediumship
na revista Espírita,
in the Spiritus magazine,
em um jornal que havia aqui na Inglaterra,
in a newspaper that there was here in England,
Sombras e Luz.
Shadows and Light,
Ele então dizia
he used to say
que a reencarnação
that reincarnation
não era verdade,
was not true
porque os espíritos que se comunicavam por ele
because the spirits who communicated through
nunca
him
haviam falado sobre isso.
had never spoken about it.
Se eu nunca por acaso recebi uma pessoa da Austrália,
If I've never seen a person from Australia, for
quer dizer
example,
que não existe a Austrália.
that doesn't mean that Australia doesn't
Era
exist.
uma presunção de Daniel.
This was presumption on his part.
Aliás, era muito presunçoso.
In fact, he was very presumptuous.
No ano de 1851,
In the year of 1851,
os espíritos disseram
the Spirit said
que durante um ano ele ia ficar sem produzir nenhum fenômeno.
that during 1 year he would not be able to produce any phenomenon.
No dia 22 de fevereiro de 1852,
And on the 22nd of February of 1852,
os espíritos voltaram.
the spirits returned.
E é muito interessante,
And it's very interesting,
ele estava em Paris.
for he was in Paris,
E essa notícia abalou a corte.
and this news caused a furor at the court.
Na manhã desse dia 22 de fevereiro,
On the morning of this 22nd of February,
conde, em nome do imperador,
a count, in the name of the
foi
emperor,
perguntar se os espíritos voltaram.
went to ask him if the spirits were back.
Ele disse assim, voltaram.
And he said, yes, they are back.
E ele voltou novamente ao Palácio das Colunas.
So he got back to the palace of the Tuileries.
Tendo vivido da mediunidade,
Having lived off mediumship,
ele estava sujeito aos espíritos mistificadores,
he was subject to the mystifying spirits,
porque era um excelente médium,
for he was an excellent medium,
mas não era um bom médium,
but he wasn't a good
no
medium,
sentido das qualidades morais.
in the sense of moral qualities,
Era a mediunidade gratuita.
that is of free
Ele
mediumship.
materializava os espíritos de dia
He could materialize spirits during the day,
e provocava os outros médiums.
and he could provoke other mediums.
Tudo aquilo que se dá na sombra é sinal de fraude,
He would say to the other mediums, anything that happens in darkness is a question of fraud,
porque ele ignorava
for he ignored
que os raios caloríferos
the heat waves
destroem o ectoplasma.
destroy the ectoplasm.
Por isso são feitas em penumbra.
And that's why these sessions are done in semi-darkness.
Mas ele tinha uma alta potência energética
But he had a very high energetic power,
de materializar.
and he could materialize.
Ele chegou a flutuar aqui em Londres,
He was able here to float here in London
diante de uma comissão.
in front of a commission.
Ele palideceu
He got pale,
e, estando no terceiro andar,
and being on the third floor
Covent Garden,
in Covent Garden,
ele foi atirado pela janela.
he was thrown out of the window.
Então os investigadores correram para vê-lo caído no chão.
So the investigators rushed to see him fall on the floor.
Ele não estava no chão.
He was not on the floor.
Ouviram bater na porta.
They heard a knock on the door.
Foram abrir.
When they opened,
Era ele.
it was him.
Quando ele entrou,
When he came in,
dos investigadores perguntou como foi isso.
one of the investigators asked, how could this happen?
Ele respondeu
And he answered,
assim e fez novamente.
he said, like this, and did it again.
Era uma potência mediúnica,
It was an uncommon mediumistic power,
mas não era um médium como Chico Xavier.
but he wasn't a medium like Chico Xavier,
Segundo,
who was secure,
a mediunidade do bem,
who was in the mediumship of goodness,
não a mediunidade de conveniência.
and not the mediumship of convenience.
Com todo respeito pela memória de Daniel,
With all respect for the memory of Daniel,
essa mensagem é de espírito mistificador.
that message can only be from a mystifying spirit.
Eu li a mensagem que eu li da Allan
I saw the message that's supposed to be from Allan Kardec,
em que ele teria lamentado
in which he lamented
haver publicado o livro dos Espíritos e falado da reencarnação,
publishing the Spirit's book and talking about reincarnation.
que é uma grande advertência aos médiuns.
And this is a great warning for
Nós
mediums.
estamos entre dois mundos.
We are between two worlds,
E há os espíritos bons que querem o progresso da humanidade,
and there are the good spirits who want the progress of humanity,
mas há os maus
but there are also the bad
que
ones
querem a perturbação da humanidade
who want to disturb
para
humanity,
vampirizar as energias humanas.
so that they can vampirize the energies of humanity.
O mesmo fenômeno aconteceu com as irmãs Fora.
The same thing happened with the Fox sisters.